Cinderace Pro Guide. Hello trainers, how are you today? So let's talk about Cinderace. In my honest, humble opinion, I think Cinderace is one of the better Pokemon in the game right now, and that's why my first guide is about Cinderace. So let's first talk about pros and cons, why you should pick Cinderace for your team. So first we got the pros. We got the insane damage at mid to late game. Cinderace excels on the auto attacks, on the late game especially. He has those abilities which we get to in just a half minute. But the way Cinderace scales his auto attack damage when the game progresses is just really good. And that's also one of the reasons he is very popular right now in the game. Next we have able to carry games. So due to the Cinderace's insane damage output, he's also really able to carry games within the right hands. If you know what you're doing with Cinderace, you can just pump out so much damage and it's super nice. So huge carry potential on this Pokemon. Next we got, he's a great jungler. So I know there are a lot of great candidates for the jungle, such as Zeraora and Gengar and Talonflame. So many Pokemon can jungle, basically any Pokemon can jungle, but some Pokemon do excel over the other. But if you get the chance to jungle with Cinderace, he's really good. Not the best ganks to try help out others in lane, but the thing is that since you can get more XP when you go to the jungle versus lane, you can ramp up that XP faster, and the faster you get to those high levels, the faster you can also put that high damage output, which means that you will be able to help out your team much better. And the last pros we have is that he's very easy to pick up. So in surface, Cinderace is really self-explanatory, as we get to the abilities in just a minute, but his abilities are very straightforward and he's easy to pick up. Then we got cons, the negative parts. So first of all, Cinderace is really squishy. He has a base low HP and he is also vulnerable to crowd control or CC. So it's very important to keep up a good position, and overall game sense is also important. So you have that knowledge of when you go into those fights, when you can afford to trade damage in, and when it's more optimal to just retreat. You want to find that good balance between offense and defense or when to retreat, so that's important. Next we have mediocre Unite move. I'm gonna talk about it a bit later on further detail, but Cinderace's Unite move is one of the worst, in my opinion. It has its usages. My favorite example is that how well you can steal objectives with Cinderace's Unite move, but other than that, there are just so many better Unite moves in the game, so it's more on the mediocre side of things. Next we have a decent laner. I'm not saying Cinderace in lane is trash, but I do think Cinderace excels in the jungle, so you can play Cinderace in lane, that's completely fine. You just want to think that who you're gonna lane with, it's very important to make those synergies as good as possible, which I'm gonna talk later in this video. But overall, I think Cinderace excels on the jungle. He can be a good laner too, but not as good as in the jungle, really. And the last con I could think of is that he's hard to master. Cinderace is hard to master because of the abilities given, which we get in just a second. But yeah, let's move on to the progression and abilities breakdown. So obviously at level 1 you're at Scorbunny, the first evolution in the line. At level 5 you evolve into Raboot, and then at level 7 you got into Cinderace. So I like this because with some other Pokemon like Gardevoir and Garchomp, it requires more levels to get into that final evolution. So luckily with Cinderace, you just need to hit level 7, and that's when you start to really excel. Scorbunny is kinda weak. Raboot is starting to get a bit better. It's on the okay side of things. You can still put value up, but this Pokemon really excels in the final form. So next, let's talk about Cinderace's moves. So at the beginning you get to choose either Ember or Low Sweep. I like to start with Low Sweep because of the mobility given, especially if you go to jungle. You can just dash through the first wall and just hit Lillipup right away, which makes the jungle clear faster. So Ember shoots out a small flame, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon, leaving them burned and decreasing their attack for a short time. So it's a nice little damage output coming from range. If you nail this ability, it's undodgeable. And the thing with Ember is that, which I didn't know until I had like 60 games on Cinderace, is that it actually resets the boosted auto attack every time you use Ember. So if you can rotate your auto attacks in a way that you kick normally, the regular auto attack, then you hit Ember, and the next auto attack will be boosted. So you can increase your damage output, especially in the jungle, which is super nice, but it just comes down to trial and error, so you can make those rotations between your auto attacks and abilities just fine. Then we have low sweep. So this is the dash, which I prefer to take right away, whether you go to lane or jungle. Has the user make a swift low sweep in the designated location, dealing damage to any opposing Pokemon it hits. So it's a really nice mobility tool. It does some damage, not a super high damage output, but it works well for Cinderace or Scorbunny at early levels. It also has a 7.5 second cooldown, Ember has 6, and low sweep also is technically a skill shot, so you can aim the dash anywhere you want. And also I wanted to mention, you choose one of these abilities at level 1, and the second ability you can choose at level 3. And you will be using these two abilities until you hit level 7 and you evolve into Cinderace. So at level 7 you get to choose from two abilities. Let's first talk about Pyro Ball. Has the user kick a ball of flame in the designated direction, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon and leaving them burned for a short time when this move hits. Upgraded to Pyro Ball Plus when the Pokemon reaches level 11. And the upgraded version at level 11 reduces the cooldown of Flame Charge or Feint when this move hits. I like the upgrade thing here for sure, and Pyro Ball is an interesting ability. It's like a skill shot, long range, this bigger flame ball that you just kick. But the problem with Pyro Ball is that, in my honest opinion, I think Blaze Kick is more superior opinion, and I'll explain now why. Let's first see what the Blaze Kick does. So, has the user perform a fiery flying kick? This move is always a critical hit, and it shoves opposing Pokemon and leaves them burned for a short time. In addition, the user becomes immune to hindrances while using this move. Upgraded to Blaze Kick Plus when the Pokemon reaches level 11. And the upgraded version increases basic attack speed for a short time when this move hits. So because of the nature of this Pokemon, you will be doing a lot of auto attacks. That's where most of your damage comes from. That's the reason why I think Blaze Kick is just better. You can chase opponents with Blaze Kick, it dashes to them and makes that brief stun, while at the same time you also lunge backwards. It helps you to keep distance to opponents, whether it's offensive or defensive maneuver, and if you're at melee range against opponent, it really helps you create distance away from them, which enables you to kite and burst out more damage. Movement is really important with Cinderace, when you can afford to be offensive and when you afford to be defensive. You just want to find the right balance between those two. That's super important. And the fact that you can also get basic attack speed for a short time when the move hits, it's just super awesome in the late game especially. Then we go to level 8. We can choose another ability. It upgrades from the low sweep ability, and Ember is upgraded into Pyro Ball or Blaze Kick. So at level 8 we got two options, Flame Charge or Feint. Let's talk about Flame Charge. Has the user charged forward cloaked in flame, dealing damage to any opposing Pokemon it hits. Upgraded to Flame Charge Plus when Pokemon reaches level 13. And at level 13, the user's next boosted attack after this move ends also decreases the movement speed of opposing Pokemon for a short time when it hits. I do like this move, but again, I think the problem is that Feint is just so much better. Flame Charge is just cool as an ability, but nowhere near as good as Feint in my opinion. So let's talk about it. So Feint increases the user's movement speed for a short time and makes the user invincible. Upgraded to Feint Plus when the Pokemon reaches level 13. And at level 13, after this move is used, basic attacks that hit opposing Pokemon restore the user's HP up to 3 times. So the upgraded version basically gives you lifesteal. Whenever you put those auto attacks after using this ability, you get lifesteal for your next 3 auto attacks up to 3 times. That's great. And you also get this little movement speed buff when using it. And the thing that shines with Feint is that it makes the user invincible for a brief time. And in my opinion, this ability is what determines between a good and great Cinderace players. Because by timing this ability correctly, you can dodge so many abilities in the game. And it can even determine between that if you're gonna live or if you're gonna die. The timing is really tight, especially on some situations when it's a hectic team fight, for example. But if you can nail this timing right most of the time, you're gonna be really golden with Cinderace. So Feint, really important ability. It takes some time to get used to it, get the timings right, but once you do, you're really gonna shine with this Pokemon. I guarantee it. So those two options come at level 8, and then we got the ultimate, level 9. Unite move, Blazing Bicycle Kick. What a funny name. Has the user create a giant ball of flame and kick it toward the designated location. The ball releases a fierce shockwave that deals damage to opposing Pokemon in the area of effect. This Unite move also increases the user's movement speed for a short time when it hits. So as I mentioned earlier, it's not one of the best Unite moves in the game, but it does have its usages. My favorite example is that you can try secure objectives with this, whether it's Rotom, Dreadnought or Zapdos, because it has that burst damage, and you can also shoot it from relatively far away, which makes it great. And if you hold this ability, the button, you can also manually try to aim for a specific target, which does take some practice to get used to, instead of just tapping the ability. You might get results that you will shoot the ultimate to someone that you didn't want to use it or aim at. And this Unite move also increased the movement speed for a short time, which is really important, especially on those team fights. That extra movement speed is really great. It enables you to chase down opponents better, as well as if the battle doesn't go in your favor, it helps you to escape as well. So that's a great bonus, definitely for this ultimate. Oh yeah, we still got to talk about the passive ability and the basic attacks. So Blaze. When the Pokemon uses a move, its next basic attack becomes a boosted attack. When the Pokemon hits an opposing Pokemon with basic attack or move, a Cinder is placed on that opposing Pokemon. Attacking a Cindered opposing Pokemon a certain number of times will cause the Cinder to flare, dealing damage to the opposing Pokemon. When Cinderace with this ability is at half HP or less, its critical hit rate and basic attack speed are increased for a short time. So yeah, no matter the move you use on Cinderace, you will always get the boosted basic attack, which is really nice. So when you start dealing damage to the enemy, you get this flame icon next to the target, which will indicate when you're gonna do that bonus damage once you hit those 4 stacks, and the Cinder will reset whenever you have completed the 4 stack cycle on the target. And note also that if you do a boosted attack or any damaging ability, it will give you 2 stacks instead of 1. So it's a neat little detail too, it's good to know. And you also get crit chance and basic attack speed when you drop to 50% HP or lower. So also really important to keep in mind. And the basic attack info here becomes a boosted attack with every 3rd attack, dealing increased damage when it hits. I've really mentioned this already a couple times, so it should be really self-explanatory at this point. You get those boosted attacks in, and you can also see that there is this dot damage over time that it'll do. Okay, so now that I talked about the progression and the abilities, I want to talk about the battle and held items. So this is pretty self-explanatory. Eject button is a no-brainer. I love this ability. It's akin to Flash from League of Legends, so those who played League is very familiar with this. Even though this got nerfed to 70 seconds instead of 50, it's still very good battle item. So my recommendation for Cinderace eject button, it gives you mobility, you can chase down opponents better, you can escape better. It's usually used in escaping situations, but it can be used offensively as well. Other option, you could try X attack that increases Pokemon's attack and special attack for a short time to really ramp up the damage. But the reason I recommend eject button over X attack is that the extra mobility is really important. While the X attack does give some nice boost on the damage, there could be situations that you could survive with eject button, and dead Cinderace is no good Cinderace, so just go with eject button. Okay, now let's talk about held items. First, my number 1 recommendation is Muscle Band. When the basic attacks hit, the damage is increased by 3% of the opponent's Pokemon's remaining HP. This will amp up the auto attacks, especially later on. You will do tons of damage with this. Highly recommended. Then we got the Body Barrier, which grants you 40% shield whenever you use your Unite move, as well as 40% shield to nearby ally with the lowest HP. Since currently in the game there are a lot of abilities that do a lot of damage, any kind of sustain is really welcome, even on Pokemon like Cinderace. And Body Barrier, I think it's viable on every single Pokemon, so that's highly recommended as well. Then at the 3rd option we got Focus Band, When the Pokemon drops to low HP, then each second for 3 seconds it recovers 14% of the HP it had lost. The definition of low HP, it's 50%. So when you reach 50% of your HP, it's gonna heal you for 3 seconds. It's another sustain item, and it's also really good general item for almost any Pokemon, which I can recommend. It also gives you 20 defense and 20 special defense. I forgot to mention, Body Barrier also gives you 400 HP at level 20. These are level 20 stats. And the Muscle Band also gives you 10 attack and 5% basic attack speed. For alternative items, I was using Floatstone for some time, but the issue with Floatstone is that you're not gonna be out of combat for not too long in the game. You're mostly being in combat, so you won't be getting the out of combat mobility that often. So that's why I feel it's no longer recommended. Also, you could try Scope Lens, which does increase your critical hit rate and critical hit damage. This is a nice item if you really want to even increase the damage on Cinderace. But I think Focus Band and Body Barrier are just overall better options. Let's say if you have a 5 pre-made team that knows what are they doing, they're able to peel you in team fights and also keep you alive, you could swap Scope Lens for Focus Band. But in a solo queue setting, I think Focus Band is just better overall. So that's for the Battle and Held items. Let's talk about the gameplay itself now. So first I talk about the Jungle Cinderace, then I talk about Lane Cinderace. So here I take level 1, the low sweep, I head straight to Lillipup, go do dash through the wall, get this Lillipup done, pretty straightforward. Then Ludicolo spawns here. You can notice how I rotate my cooldowns in a way that I get as much damage as possible when they reset, as I explained earlier. Then I go for the Buffland. Again, watch carefully how I rotate my cooldowns. You can load the time as fast as you can. There are variations how you can clear those camps. Oh, Pikachu, don't steal that. If that Pikachu would steal the one Corphish, I will not get into Raboot, which is a problem. So I head to the top path. I can see they're pushing already. So I just go straight to Zeraora. And we get the kill, that's nice. When I have the Buffland buff, the auto attack's slow, which helps a lot with the ganks. And we also get the Jigglypuff. Then at 850, these bees spawn, the Combees and the Vespiquen. So I get those as well. I could wait on the Vespiquen a bit and go straight for the Snorlax. Because we just could get it later. I almost scored as well, but since I did that little macro mistake, I was not able to score. After the bees are done, you get maybe a couple kills, you get to score. You head to these Corphish at the middle area. So get that cleared done, no problem, no problem. And you want to keep an eye on both of the lanes if there are opportunities for gank. But if you go gank at this point, it's always risky because if you fail the gank, you don't get any value with it. You will lose XP because the time I'm spending here now, I decided to stay and farm instead of going for the ganks. So these camps have been reset. So I get the Ludicolo again, I get the Buffland again. And when the timer starts to head around 7 minutes, this is the point when I want to go bottom lane. But you can do the first gank on bottom lane as well. This is just my habit, to go do the ganks first on top, then get some of the camps, and then head bottom lane. So I see Zeraora here. I know I'm level ahead because of the early gank, I was successful. So I don't hesitate at all, I just go in. Same with the Charmeleon, we get double kill, very nice, very nice. I'm already so ahead that I was able to easily secure these kills. I don't know what this Raboom is doing, but as you can see, 3 levels ahead at this point, I'm able to just squeeze that damage, so much damage. And this is a kind of risky move to stay too long because the respawn timers are so low. But I decided to go with the Unite move here because of the fact that Dreadnought has already respawned and you want to try save those ultimates or Unite moves for Dreadnoughts. So I just cleared the enemies there and we head straight to Dreadnought. They don't have any chance to contest. After Dreadnought is done, I head straight back to farming. You could go to Rotom as well, but this is again, do you want more XP or do you want to get that objective? Rotom, in my opinion, is not as important as Dreadnought is, so I just keep farming. I keep farming, and get that lead even further, which is important in Cinderace. You can carry those games so fast. But Rotom hasn't been done. I cleared the camp, I go back to the top lane. Let's see if we can get him picks. Zeraora noticed me. For some reason, he takes a weird path and wants to kill himself. And you can see that I know we had an advantage here in terms of amount of Pokemon, but man, just so much damage with this. So this is uncontested, very easy Rotom. The first point is already taken, so the Rotom heads to the second goal in the top lane, which is great. It gives the enemy pressure. The Rotom's done. I don't want to go with the Rotom to try push, because it's usually risky due to the fact that how low the respawn timers are. So I just stick to farm, but I decided to go top lane. You can see I just pop Unite move. I can get these two guys easily. Wigglytuff is super tanky, even though she was lower level than me, but easy double kill. And you can see the yellow dots in the minimap. The camps have already pretty much spawned already. So just keep farming. I want to emphasize on that. I hate to sound like a broken record, but you want to emphasize on the farming. It's super important. So Dreadnought is coming up in 10 seconds. I know I have time to get this Corphish before we go to this Dreadnought. So you can see the level advantage. It's ridiculous at this point. I had such a good early game. So straight to Dreadnought. We're not seeing any enemies over here. Oh, Cinderace is on the right side. He could try steal with the ultimate, but instead of trying to steal, he's just gonna waste it. And I'm already topping off their mirror, the Cinderace. Getting these bees out of the way, more XP. This is a risky push, because again, the respawn timers are so low. But the team wants to go for the goal, so we'll just stick here for the time being. But that's a good example why you don't want to push to the second goal most of the time, because it's risky and it's dumb. So in a nutshell, TLDR is farm, then when you hit Raboom, gank either top or bottom lane. Around 7 minutes, go for the Dreadnought, be careful when it respawns so you'll be there in time. And Rotom, you can take it as a secondary objective or just keep farming and you will be really doing good. When the Zapdos timer hits, you're gonna see that notification in the attention bar at 2-minute mark. So that's a really good indication on whether you want to either defend Zapdos from the enemy or if it's necessary to get the Zapdos, or else you will be losing. I will be having a separate video on Zapdos and Dreadnought as well, like when it's necessary to take him down and when not. But that's basically the idea on how to jungle with Cinderace. Okay, so now we got the lane Cinderace. I'm laning with Crustle in this game, and it's not as important to get either to the top or bottom lane. I think it's more important that who you lane with, and any Pokemon that can peel you, let's say Snorlax or Dwebble or Wigglytuff or Slowbro, anyone who can secure those last hits is really great as a laning partner with Cinderace. But as Scorbunny is super weak early game, it's hard still to get those last hits if the enemy know what he's doing. As you saw here, we did not get all of the last hits. Now it's the 9-minute timer. There's that Corphish on the top left. I decided Dwebble to get it because he gets into Crustle at level 4, even though it's my prioritization to get the XP for me because I'm the carry and he's supporting me. But whatever you do, try to avoid laning with someone like Greninja or Gengar or Zeraora. Some Pokemon that also really needs those last hits. You want to avoid laning with those as much as possible. And if you got a team that has a lot of carries in it, you might not want to pick Cinderace and just go for support if you want to maximize your chances of winning. So yeah, it was a pretty straightforward stuff. The bee spawned at 850 again, and I'm just trying to get as much as farm as possible. One issue with laning with Scorbunny Raboot is you can't really hit Ember on the wild Pokemon. If there is an enemy Pokemon, a player close to you, it just doesn't target the wild Pokemon. I've tried many ways to override this, but I just can't seem to find a way for some reason, which is kinda dumb. So again, the timer is starting to get closer to 7 minutes, and technically it will be the wisest thing if everyone groups to Dreadnought, but it's kind of a controversial matter. Some people think that it's okay that one Pokemon stays on top, keeps farming, and you have 4 contesting for Dreadnought, and other people think that everyone should go for Dreadnought. Especially the first Dreadnought is super important, because all the teammates get XP, and the value is just huge. You also get the shield for your team, which is very nice. So this is kind of an iffy situation, because the enemy is close to try start the Dreadnought. So you can see Talonflame popping on in, Mr. Mime close as well. But their engage was kind of bad, so we were able to pick up this Talonflame. Mr. Mime has to retreat to the goal to get some HP back, and I can see they're aggroing this Mime, so I just decided to try start soloing this Dreadnought, which is an okay strategy, and they actually kill the Mime, so more than a good strategy. I kinda take unnecessary hits from Dreadnought, those water sprouts or whatever it's called. Those are dodgeable, and for some reason I wasn't able to dodge them. I played bad there. But we still get the Dreadnought, that's the most important thing. So yeah, hopefully this explained how to lane with Cinderace. TLDR is that you want to try lane with someone that can peel with you, and someone that doesn't really rely on the last hits as much as you do. Don't lane with someone like Greninja, who really wants those last hits as well. And just keep an eye on the objectives, especially Dreadnought and Rotom as well, and towards the end, see if you guys need the Zapdos or not. If you don't, try to defend it, and if you do, just try to get the team to group up for it and try to force it. Okay, so that was quite the mouthful. I didn't expect this video to be over 26 minutes, but I wanted to be as informative as possible, so you guys can learn and become better Cinderace players. But it was my first pro guide after all, so any sort of feedback is very welcome. Also, let me know if you think I missed some sort of critical information in this video, so I can make like a pinned comment in the comment section to correct any mistakes if there was any, or to add some information if it wasn't present here. And for the feint ability, because it's very important on Cinderace, I'm really thinking to do a separate video to go look every single ability on the game, that which abilities you can dodge with feint and which you cannot. But I want to do it somewhere after Blastoise is released on September 1st. And for more cool Pokemon Unite videos, hit that subscribe, notification bell for great videos to come. My name is Hepodix, and I hope you have a wonderful day.